Today on the Big 3 in 30, could the Celtics get Jayson Tatum back soon?
Jayson Tatum is ramping up. He is going to come back.
The Rockets look at expectations for the rest of the season.
They've performed, I guess, under the expectation or, below expectations to this point.
And ESPN's Mark Jones joins to talk the NBA's second half.
Being able to unplug for a couple days and digest the first 2/3 of the NBA season.
This is the Big 3 in 30 NBA. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The Big 3 in 30 NBA starts now. Thank you for making the Big 3 in 30 your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The Boston Celtics have played well this season without star Jayson Tatum, and now it looks like Tatum could be on his way to getting back on the court. With more info on the comeback, here's John Corrales with Locked On Celtics.
I think it's pretty clear Jayson Tatum is ramping up. He is going to come back. You don't practice and meet the media without having a plan to come back. You don't drop a trailer for your behind the scenes look at your rehab without planning to come back, right? There's the all of a sudden March 1st, the game against Philly gets flexed from 6 p.m. local coverage to NBC coverage at 8 p.m.
I was this close.
Right? It's there. It's happening. Okay?
I was this close.
It's happening. There are going to be winners and losers. So, in the grand scheme of things, Tom, who's the winner? We all are.
Yeah,
we all win.
The Boston Celtics are
winners.
Are the winner from Jayson Tatum coming back.
They will absolutely be the winners because he's coming back and he's gonna be, who knows.
Yeah,
I always caution, like, his return is still going to be part of his rehab. His first game back, even if it is against Philly, is a rehab stint. It's going to be 20 minutes or so, probably off the bench, limited time, limited scope, very carefully orchestrated. And then maybe he misses a game, and it's going to be kind of like a hit or miss. So
this is why I still think he should come back against the Nets February 27th.
Also possible.
A lot of signs lining up for the Sixers game. Yes.
So either way, maybe that's his second game back. I mean, it's just because maybe that's just a game that the NBC just says we want to make sure that we get Tatum.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as far as players go, who are the winners for if Tatum comes back? I don't know if he's number one on my list, but I wrote about this at Celtics on SI. I got 3 names for you. I'll throw these out there. Number 1, Sam Hauser. He's going to be, I believe, a starter.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, instead of Baylor Shireman or Jordan Walsh, it's going to be Jayson Tatum in that lineup next to him. This is eventually when Tatum becomes a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Hauser becomes the guy that you're just going to have to live with, I think, because your starting lineup eventually will be Tatum, Brown, Derek White. I believe Vucevic is going to be in there.
Yep.
And Sam Hauser. Who do you like? Sam right now is getting a lot of extra attention because there are guys like Walsh and Shireman out there. Ugo, just inconsistent shooters. Maybe they'll get hot, whatever. Sam gets a little extra attention. Don't let him get hot. Now he's going to be the guy that's wide open. He's going to get so many more cleaner looks. I think this is going to be whenever Tatum does get back into the starting lineup, I think Hauser's going to be one of the big winners.
Yep. No, I agree with that. And I mean, I think, Hauser's honestly one of the things that's happened with Hauser this season is he's been given much more difficult defensive assignments a lot of the time. Like he's had to really take on some tough defensive assignments. And when we'll see how long it takes Tatum to get to that stage, probably not again, like you're saying, probably very similar to the starting lineup. It won't be happening right away, but when Tatum is back, somewhat close to fully, he will be taking on a lot of those tougher defensive assignments. So Hauser will also probably get a little bit of a break on that end too, which could be nice for him as well.
Vooch, obviously a big winner. I think he's got to be maybe the number one winner. Actually, my next guy is the number one winner, I think. But Vooch, I think he becomes a starter. And not only that, if things go well, think about this. The Celtics let Al Horford walk. They let Porzingis walk. If Vooch works with Tatum, you think he's going to go to Brad Stevens and be like, can we not let this guy walk?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the Celtics are willing to pay Vooch. It's probably not going to be anything more than the taxpayer mid-level at this point. But maybe he instead of being like, hey, Vooch, we're going to take it or leave it the minimum. If Tatum says, hey, I like playing with this guy, all right, here's $5 million, here's $6 million, instead of just 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I know who your next guy is, and I agree that he's probably the biggest winner. But I will throw my lot in with Vooch just for the sake of being argumentative, but not really, because I think that he's really set up for a lot of success here. I think on this Celtics team, that last game against the Bulls before the break, obviously it's the Bulls, whatever, but the amount of just elbow room that Vooch had to shoot some of those shots, that's not going away. Like those shots are going to be there for him, and he's probably going to be a lot more available for the Celtics. I mean, no, like knock on wood, obviously, but he seems like he's going to be a lot more available for the Celtics than Kristaps Porzingis was. And Porzingis, I mean, the types of looks that he got were really, really good. Vucevic is going to get all of those looks, and he's a really good passer, right? So you've got a guy who is getting these wide open pick and pop looks, who can roll off the pick and roll and either catch it on the roll or seal his guy off, right? And get these really good post up looks and finish down there. Like he's really good at trapping a guy when he rolls and keeping that guy down, stuck in jail under the basket. Like he's really good at that. And by the way, he's a really good passer. So I mean, listen, as Anthony Simons' number one fan, I painful, obviously, but it's I get it. Of course, this is the thing, right? It's this, and this is why Brad Stevens is so annoying to cover, because it's what am I gonna do? Tell Brad Stevens you got it wrong with Vucevic? Obviously, he didn't. You know, obviously that was gonna be the right move on a bunch of different levels. But anyway, I think Vucevic is I think not only is he a big winner from Tatum's return, because I mean that just puts everything exponentially higher, right? I think he's also just a big winner for coming to the Celtics. This is just the setup that he's about to find himself in. I think I think he seems like a competitive dude. I think he's going to really enjoy being on this team with this coach, and the amount of space and the types of looks he's about to get, I think are really going to be appealing for him.
Okay, smart guy. You said you know who my last guy is. Who do you think it is?
I'm going to go on a limb and guess that your last guy is Derek White.
Son of...
Listen,
Yeah, it's Derek White.
Yeah,
it's Derek White. Because things just snap back into place for Derek White. And this is the most exciting part of Tatum's return for me, aside from, hey, Jayson Tatum's coming back to play basketball, which is always fun. Derek White has this season gone from Mr. Spot Up to Mr. Off the Dribble, and it's been difficult.
He's a lot better at Mr. Spot Up. Yeah.
So this is according to Synergy Sports. Pick and roll ball handler this season 34.5% of the time, and spotting up just about 25% of the time. Last season, just the complete flip. Last season was spotting up 34% of the time, and pick and roll ball handler about 23%. So the numbers are opposite. But here's the biggest problem. Pick and rolls, his production is about the same. 9.5, like 0.954 points per possession. Okay. So it's in that. It was 0.954 here and 0.964 last year. So off the pick and roll, that's about what he is as a scorer, as the pick and roll ball handler. Spot ups last year, just about 1.3 points per possession. Elite number. Very good. Excellent. Yeah. This year, the spot ups have dropped down to 0.94, which is okay, but nah, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that he was good at last year, he's not good at anymore, because I think this is so much more involved in the pick and roll ball handling. Well, that's Tatum's thing. Tatum is the pick and roll ball handler. So I think once Tatum gets back into that starting lineup, those numbers flip again, and all of a sudden Derek White starts putting up 20, 25, 30, and you start having a lot more of those games. I think the shooting starts to creep up. We're going to start looking at his splits. His March splits are going to start to look a little bit better. There's going to be a couple of weeks in April where people are saying, oh, wow, is Derek White peaking at the right time? We should clip this. Is Derek White peaking at the right time? That's going to be the discussion in April, because I just feel like Tatum snaps everything back into place.
Yep. I don't have much to add to that. I agree on all fronts.
The Winter Games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for the events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. And that's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel makes so much sense. From medal counts to individual events, finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to all the action. It's the building drama of curling matches, races decided by inches or fractions of a second. Both popular and niche events become must-watch when you're fully locked into the competition. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game.
Welcome back to the Big 3 and 30 NBA. The Rockets go into the second half of the season in the middle of the playoff race and hoping to make a deep run with Kevin Durant on the roster. Locked On Rockets host Jackson Gatlin goes into the expectations in Houston on Locked On Rockets.
This Rockets team, I think to this point in the season, relative to the expectations coming into the year, right, I think has, they've performed, I guess, under the expectation or, below expectations to this point. But with everything they've dealt with, the injuries, missing Fred, now no Steven, no Tari and DFS for so much of the season to start, 4th seed in a brutal Western Conference, 33-20, things could be a lot worse. Ben, how are you kind of reading things for this team? What are some of give me one of your post All-Star break kind of expectations for this squad?
Yeah, my expectations are relatively high, at least for the regular season, when you look at the first 2 years of Ime Udoka. So year one with the Rockets, that was a team that was 6 games under 500 at the break. They were 17-11 after, and they had the 11-game winning streak in March. Last year, they had that 6-game losing streak, right?
That's going to do it for another edition of Locked On Rockets. As always, thanks so much for checking out the show. Remember, the best way to help us grow the show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing, and then like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.
Come on, bro.
Hey, man, I've done it twice. Like, it's a fun card to play. Let's go.
I know. But look, I think on paper, there are certainly reasons to think that an Ime Udoka coach team would disproportionately be harmed when the schedule is tightened, and then be the beneficiary when it spreads out a little bit and you get more rest. We know Ime is a guy that he doesn't always play his bench as much as fans would like. And this stretch between the end of the NBA Cup in late December and the All-Star break in early February, you have a lot of games compressed into like 6 weeks to make room for those weeks in which basically nothing is happening. And so I think an Ime Udoka coach team that, isn't super deep with its playing rotation. And in this case, Kevin Durant is the best player. He's 37 years old. You have 2 of the top 3 guys in minutes per game in the NBA in KD and Amen. And it makes sense that there would be some fatigue. And when you look at, how this team slumped in January and February, in January, it was the 3-point shooting. That's something when you don't have your legs, fatigue is often a factor. And in February, it was the turnovers, especially with KD. Well, he's 37 years old. He's in the top 3 in minutes, and he's dealt with the ankle injury. I think he's a guy that would be hurt by the schedule. And Amen Thompson, it's sort of been under the radar. His last 10 games, Amen is averaging just 14 points per game on 52% true shooting. So your two guys that are near the top of the NBA in minutes per game, they've been a little bit less efficient of late, and KD's dealing with the ankle as well. So there are a lot of reasons to believe that you give this team a week off to recharge, and they should be better, but they just got to do it. Like the way I break down this season to date, it's basically like there's 3 different versions of the Rockets. There's the first 17 games, and they went 13-4, October and November. They were fabulous. That was also when Reed Shepherd was at his best. Brandon, I'm sure you'll get into that. There was the stretch in December where the defense just fell off a cliff. They just weren't playing with the requisite intensity, and they blew these games to like the Kings, the Pelicans, the Jazz. And then from January onward, they cleaned up the defense, but the offense has been bottom 10. And so at some point, if they can put the defense and offense together at the same time, which they haven't really done, at least not on a consistent basis since those first 17 games, this team can be a lot better. And so when you look at Ime Udoka's style of coaching, when you look at the last 2 years, when you look at the fall off recently from KD and Amen, who have been leaned on very heavily, and because they haven't had any real injuries, they also, those cumulative minutes have added up. There are reasons to think that they're going to put it together on the other side. They've just got to actually do it.
B. Scott.
So my expectation, my post All-Star break expectation is to solve the point guard riddle. And that is not to say that there's a perfect solution or that there's a perfect answer to the question, but I have felt like over the past, let's call it week plus, let's just go back to the Oklahoma City game a couple of Saturdays ago now when Amen Thompson was sick and they had to start Reed Shepherd. I felt like, let's see, there's about a 3-game stretch that we're talking about going into the All-Star break where it seemed like they were finding something that I hope, at least, maybe there's some hopium here, but I'm hoping that they lean into. And I've got to think that because, look, for all of the criticisms that coaching staff has gotten, they're smarter basketball minds than mine. And even I can tell that this is the way to go. Like this is the way to go about your point guard issue, for better and for worse, is with Reed Shepherd and allowing Shepherd and Alperen Sengun to continue to build the chemistry that it looked like that they're building between their 2-man game when they're on the floor together. And also just the idea, at least for me, that could be not just the remedy to their point guard issues, but also to this over-reliance on Kevin Durant, to just have another option, another engine, something else that you can truly rely on offensively. And I know Reed Shepherd had a rough stretch there at the start of, I guess, the end of
Brandon,
January.
they don't need to rely on KD or Reed. They're just going to clean up every offensive board, right? And get all the second chance points. That's what this team is built around.
And you want to talk about things that are opposite of my expectation, right? Like I'm trying to think of an expectation for the Rockets with in mind that this generational offensive rebounding thing that they had going for them is over, at least for the foreseeable future, at least for this. When we're talking about this season, it's over. We'll see what happens with Steve-O, and maybe the team looks similar to how it did before in their offensive rebounding at historical rates again next season. But as far as this season, this is how you need to generate shots, how you need to generate points. And so my expectation is to lean into the Reed Shepherd experience, not just because I'm a stan or because it's been really cool for me to say since he got drafted, but because we're starting to see, I think, tangible evidence that it works. And at the very least, it is their best option to generate not just shots for Reed, but shots for the entire team outside of simply giving the ball to Kevin Durant or the shin hub, as we call it.
Madison?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys covered pretty much my sentiments as well. I mean, what I add to that is I expect or am optimistic about a well-needed reset, the type of reset that we've needed often in years, like Ben said, and that teams often need, where guys can refocus their roles, coaches can go over film, refocus their teams, right, and fix some of the nagging issues that we've come across. I think this team has kind of suffered from a lack of focus, a lack of intensity, a lack of real consistent purpose in a lot of the ways that young teams often can suffer from inconsistency, right? And those types of things. And of course, execution due to the point guard issue. And so this team, it'll be interesting to see how Ime Udoka, I think, because that's who I think this is on, is Ime Udoka inspiring these guys to play their hardest every night. I mean, we got about, 20 something games,
29
games, 29 games, almost 30 games, right, left in this season. And that's a long enough stretch to make a statement, right? To go into the playoffs feeling good about yourself, right? And to refocus on what are our mission as a team as we're going in to make a playoff run. So overall, in those expectations, this will be about team planning and execution. And so I'm excited to see, because as you guys all outlined, the actual individuals in this team, not just Reed Shepherd, not just Kevin Durant, but and not just Alperen Sengun, who needed this rest with all the nagging injuries he had, and so rejuvenated Alperen Sengun with some extended time off. I expect him to get back, rounded back into form, but also the others, the young role players on this team that have overperformed in stretches and underperformed in others. I'm excited to see them, come in and refocus and really come in with a plan to come together and win games. And I think the Rockets have a special opportunity to do that. And there's a lot of opportunity out there for guys to take those type of steps. So that's my post-game expectations. Yeah.
The Winter Games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for the events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. And that's why following the Winter Games on FanDuel makes so much sense. From medal counts to individual events, finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to all the action. It's the building drama of curling matches, races decided by inches or fractions of a second. Both popular and niche events become must-watch when you're fully locked into the competition. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game.
Welcome back to the Big 3 and 30 NBA. The Kings sit at the bottom of the NBA standings at the All-Star break, so what's there left to root for in Sacramento besides the draft pick? ESPN's Mark Jones joined Locked On Kings to look at the outlook for the rest of the season.
We have a special guest today. I'm super excited to welcome in Mark Jones. Mark, how are you?
James, everything's good, man. Everything's good when it comes to being able to unplug for a couple of days and digest the first 2/3 of the NBA season and recharge the battery for the stretch run. So everything's good today.
That's awesome. That's where I'm at too. Like this break, sometimes it's a blessing when you cover a team that doesn't get invited to All-Star weekend. Which the Sacramento Kings didn't. How was your experience with, of course, you did the celebrity game on Friday night.
Celebrity game. It was fun. Hey, listen, I had a game where it came down to the last 2 possessions in the celebrity game, and Jeremy Lin won the game on an 8-point shot because Giannis, the coach of Team Giannis, hit the double points buzzer at just the right time. And any basket scored during that 1 minute, when the coach from either team presses the double time button, you get 1 use in the quarter. Giannis used it very strategically and tactically. Jeremy Lin ends up taking a shot behind the Ruffles 4-point line, not 3-point line, 4-point line. Yeah, it's a wild game, James. and he laces a 4-point shot, which was worth 8, which propelled them to the lead. But it was some good stuff. Taco Fall was fun to watch. He had a 360 slam dunk that he did. He got one off the glass from Rome Flynn, a famous actor who's been in several TV shows. He got one off the glass from him. There was some pretty good basketball actually this year. Actually, I'll say it was the best basketball I've seen in the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game in quite some time. So it was fun.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, to see Jeremy Lin play and to see Taco Fall out there, it was a little different, right? And I'll say this: Taco Fall is probably the biggest human being I've ever seen in real life. I mean, like I don't. There's no way to describe how he's 7'6", but his shoulders are so broad. He is such a tremendously huge human being.
Yeah. If you, I'll tell you a funny story about Taco Fall. Last year, my wife and I are going to Dakar, Senegal, for our vacation. We went to Africa. We went to Morocco after. I walk onto the plane, get ready to take my seat 3A, and across the aisle in 3C is this 7'6" giant, like folded up in a first class seat. I'm like, Taco, what's up? Hey, Mark. He goes, you going to Senegal? I said, yeah. What are you doing? So, yeah, he was on his way to see his family back in Dakar, Senegal, and just an outstanding teammate and a wonderful human being. And he was only in the celebrity game because he was at the midway point of his Chinese basketball professional season, and he had a little time off. They invited him to play, and he walked away with a good night and got some eyeballs back on him. Who knows? Potentially a 10-day somewhere down the road.
Yeah, he's just he does seem like just a genuinely nice person.
Yeah.
And I think when you're that tall, you have two choices. You can either embrace being that big, or you can fight it and make it like the bane of your existence. I don't know how he fits into a vehicle, like any vehicle.
No, I saw he had extra leg room. It was one of those lay flats, and he was still like, he looked like a pretzel. For me, it was plenty of room. I'm 6 foot ½ inch, but no, it did not work. It worked enough for him. He made it. So
yeah,
but it was a good experience. All-Star weekend was fun. The couple of days that I was there, the Thursday and Friday. I'll tell you about my Friday night after the Celebrity All-Star game. Went to a wonderful event that was hosted by Kenny Smith, a nice big party. It was a banquet, a dinner that he held to be able to salute some of the people in his life that have been inspirational to him as he opens up something called the Jet Center. It's a athletic center with 8 basketball courts, a medical physiotherapy component, and a media component as well. So he was raising funds to do that. So it was good. It was a good night. Ran into a bunch of people.
And that, of course, is a Kings legend, Reggie. Kenny Smith. Yeah, Kenny Smith is. He's so much good. Good. Yeah. So, Mark, we're about to dive back into the second half of the season, but let's touch base on a couple of things from the Sacramento Kings first half. Number one, I think the record speaks for itself. They walk into the break at 12 and 44, I think it is. Just like, what's been the sort of, I think more than anything, like the shock and disappointment that this team is where they are, because it didn't feel like that's what we were heading for this year.
Yeah. I think everybody's disappointed. I will say this, that there's some very proud professionals in that locker room. And at 12 wins on the season and going into the break on a 14-game losing streak, when you're walking around shoot around, which I do with the team, and observing during shoot around in the mornings, pregame and in film sessions, everybody is locked in on the assignment. The vibe has still been very, centered on the task and the assignment. The guys are doing their best. It's just that, with the fact that the team has not been whole all year, right? The projected starting 5 still hasn't been together all year.
Domas and Keegan have never played together.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a bunch of circumstances, a confluence of circumstances that have created this maelstrom that have resulted in 12 wins. And the guys still go out and play hard. I see it. I see it in formulation and practices and walkthrough, and it's just not happening on the court because, that Jazz game before the All-Star break, I'm looking out on the floor and I'm like, I know these 5 guys have never played together in an NBA game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you had Devin Carter, you had Cardwell, you had DeRozan, and,
Nick
Drew
Clifford.
Eubanks. It's been that kind of real funky year. And I think the guys have reconciled. and the coaching staff in their mind that let's just have segments where the young guys can develop and show improvement from game to game, from possession to possession. And the season is being graded on, how Max, how Neek, how Dylan, Keegan when he gets back, Carter when he's in there, how they improve, and watching Devin Carter play actually the last few games has been encouraging. We're finally getting to see what he can do on the court, and he's had some decent moments. His ability to get into the paint and create, his ability to play make has improved from game to game. His 3-point shooting isn't there yet, but that more than anything is a matter of reps. So, it's being able to judge the game on more than just the final score at this point of the season, if we're being brutally honest.
That's all for today's Big 3 in 30 NBA. If you follow football or college sports, the Big 3 in 30 has shows for the biggest news in the NFL and on campus going up every weekday just like this one. Just search the Big 3 in 30 NFL or the Big 3 in 30 College wherever you're listening or watching right now. Thanks again for tuning in to the Big 3 in 30 NBA.